Hello everyone, my name is Cortex, and in this video, sponsored by Lilith Games, we're gonna go over the things that Rise of Kingdoms can do to make it the best mobile game of 2025. So, to get right into it, first of all, I'm gonna talk about something that I've spoken about quite a lot, which is dismantling equipment and the materials that you get back. So, as you guys probably know, when you dismantle a piece of legendary equipment, you only get half of the materials back. You can see you get 30 back, and the forging cost is 60, right? And it also, the refining and all that sort of stuff does not take it into account. So let's say I were to dismantle, I don't know, this, where is it? Iconic tier 5 ring, that's crits. I would only get this many materials back, when in reality it cost me so many materials to get it to this point, right? And I think this is terrible. I think when you dismantle equipment, you should get all the materials back that you spent on iconic tiers, on refining, and on crafting. Because you're already losing the blueprint, right? Which is already punishment enough. We don't also need to lose our materials. It doesn't make any sense. Because it locks you into whatever you crafted and you can't make any mistakes and you can't go back on it. So I think it doesn't make any sense, and I think that's one of the best, and I started out the video with this because I think it's one of the most important things. So yeah, give us our materials back when dismantling, because we're already losing the blueprints, we don't also need to be losing our materials. Okay. Now, a second one is something that's been going on for a lot of years, which is matchmaking. And I'll probably flash something on the screen right now if I can find it, which is the 1718 and 1175 being in the same KVK, in the same camp in their KVK, sorry, which obviously is way out of balance, as you can see by the stats, if I manage to find the picture and show it on screen. And matchmaking is something we've known to be broken for many years, and we've been complaining about for many years, and I really hope they're going to fix it in 2025. Now, what do they need to do to fix it? I think it's not easy, but it's not that difficult either. One thing that is very simple that they could do to make matchmaking a lot better is take language out of the account. Right now, language matters, so if you speak the same language as another kingdom, you're more likely to end up in a camp with them, which I believe is why 1718 and 1175 ended up in the same camp, because they're both Korean-speaking kingdoms, which I think is very bad, that they're taking language into effect when KVK matchmaking balance is what matters the most. Next, I want to talk about testing tools. And that Ark of Osiris balanced mode is not doing its job as testing, which I think it might have been slightly intended as. The custom match is great, and the balanced mode that you can do in the custom match is also great, that you can use commanders that you don't have maxed and whatever else, and that everyone has the same stuff. But it does not reflect a real situation, because in Ark you have weird buffs such as 100% all damage and whatever else, right, that you don't normally have in KVK or in the game. So I think we should get a testing tool that works like a simulator, where, well, it doesn't work like a simulator, it actually works like, let's say you can invite your friend, you can hop in there, and you can, for example, select the stats, if you want KVK tech, if you don't want KVK tech, if you want holy sites, alliance buffs, whatever it may be, equipment, crits, iconic tiers, everything, right? Talent, set everything up. I think we need proper testing in this game, and I think it's quite important. I don't think it's the most important, because we have decent testing now, and anyways, testing can only show so much, right? What matters is KVK. But like, let's say you could, like, just as two players, or even as one player, you could control what's in the garrison, you can control what's in the rally, you can keep the rally reinforced with equipment and whatever else, right? Like, that would be pretty cool, I think. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. I think we need better testing tools. Okay. Moving on is fort meta. And this has been an issue in many KVKs for many years. Similar to the matchmaking issue, this is a very old issue. And the fact is that forts make KVKs kind of boring. Hitting forts early on in the KVK, and even later on in the KVK, is very difficult, and it's very easy to defend them. Especially before you get the rally tech. And I think that there's many things they could do to fix this issue. They could give you a certain amount of forts you can place in a zone, they could lower the durability overall of forts, they could also make KVK maps that don't play into the fort meta as much. For example, all these heroic anthem style maps really play into the fort meta. For example, as the most recently announced KVK and released KVK into the game, King of All Britain, really plays into the fort meta, because it has the pass 7 where you can fort up before the zone opens, and it's not very fun to play against. I think they should do more, like, let's say, Orleans style maps and Strife style maps, where the maps are more open, and even Warriors Unbound to some extent, where the maps are more open and you don't get to fully build out the zone before the fight starts. You both enter the zone fresh and you play it out from that point, which I think is a lot better for making for fun fights. Which is why Zone 5 fights, tend to be quite fun most of the time if you have a fight in Zone 5. Because it's an open zone where nobody can fully port up the zone before you can even enter it, and yeah, it's not very fun being an attacker in a fort heavy KVK. And my next thing is a very petty thing, and this might be only my personal take, but you know those arrow towers in like Tides and other KVK maps that start shooting at your city when you teleport in and just teleport you away? Like, it's so annoying. Why have it? Like, TP space is already quite a bad issue in this game. Now why make it worse? Why have arrow towers that shoot you away when you just try to stay teleported on your territory? And you have to put pharmacons in place to block the shooting from the towers, and it's just... Why? Why is it there? Why is it there? It makes it so that you have to march further, everything just becomes worse from the arrow towers in my opinion. So yeah, please remove the arrow towers. That might be just my petty take, but I really don't like the arrow towers. Anyway. The next thing I want to talk about is the gem events, and the fact that we get research speeds, building speeds, resources, epic blueprints, and stuff like that from gem events. And I think we got the wheel going on right now, so I can show you this. As you can see here, we have building speeds, training speeds are good, research speeds, resources, gold stars. I mean, the gold stars maybe are okay, but the resources, the building speeds, the research speeds, we don't want this. When you spend your gems to spin a wheel, you want to get something that's going to feel rewarding. You don't want to feel punished when you spend your gems. You want to feel rewarded. And when I spin this wheel and get 5 research speeds or building speeds and resources, I don't feel rewarded. I think they should be all replaced by universal speeds or training speeds, as long as at least maybe early game players need this. So let's say if you have your tech maxed and if you have your buildings maxed, replace these with training speeds, healing speeds, or universal speeds, right? That we can actually use. Because when we spin the wheels, we just accumulate stuff we don't need, which is very annoying. And I mean, yes, sure, the resource is one thing, at least we can use it, but the speed ups is just ridiculous. Like, just look at this. Like, why do I need this stuff? And they're like, oh, you can use it for KVK tech and trade in and building the KVK buildings and trade them in for training speed ups. But it's limited. Like, even though I'm doing this every KVK, I'm not even waiting for helps when I'm doing my tech and doing my building in KVK. But, I mean, just look at it, right? It's crazy. Like, it's way too much. Anyway, please give us a way either to convert our our building and research speeds into something useful, or remove them from the gem events, such as the Wheel, Esmeralda, Egg, Hammer, Dalrook, even the Legendary Tavern. Like, please just give us something. And also another thing that I'd like to say about these events is introduce some bad luck protection. If you spin a whole wheel and you don't, like, fully spin a whole wheel and you don't see a single 8 spot or whatever, it feels quite bad, right? Because you see here it's meant to be 2% chance, so in theory every like 50 spins you should see an 8 spot. So I think introducing some bad luck protection into the game would be quite a good idea. So let's say every 50 spins you are guaranteed to get 8 heads, or every 50 spins on the egg you're guaranteed to get a 10 blueprint spot, right? Like, some bad luck protection I think would be very nice for this game. So yeah, I would also want that. Anyway, that's enough ranting about the gem events. I think they need some changing, as this has been the same since the start of the game and it's really outdated. Okay. Now, Crystal Tech. It's a big issue, especially for low spend free-to-play that struggle to compete with whales and high spenders. So, Crystal Tech, I think there's a couple things that could be done. One big thing, which I really don't understand, is the Cow Karak. The one that you can challenge it. It's kind of like the Karak challenge with the gold heads, and you get crystals in return. Why is it that you cannot do all the Cow Karak levels before Kingsland opens? Why is it that you're doing 3 of the Cow Karak levels after all the fighting is over? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you be wanting Crystal Tech after Kingsland is over? The KVK is over at that point. Why do you care about crystals at that point? So it just doesn't make any sense. They need to change how the Cow Karak works. They need to make it so that you can do all of them before Kingsland opens, or it's just a very strange system, if you ask me. And that's a big thing they could do to really help lower spenders and free-to-plays catch up on tech quicker. Because right now, it's really rough, and the Cow Karak seems kind of pointless. Sure, the 1 or 2 levels before Kingsland help, but I still think all the levels should be completable beforehand. Even if they need to adjust them somehow, it just doesn't make sense for them to be after Kingsland, right? Am I the only one thinking this? I don't think so. Anyway, moving on, I think this is another big topic, which is community engagement. A lot of players play this game not because they necessarily love the game, although a lot of us do, like me, but a lot of players play the game for the community and the community aspects of the game, which is a fantastic thing that they built the game on, to rely on community. And I think it's great, but I think there's more they can do to improve the community experience of the game. Like, for example, more personal interaction with the community, like more frequent live streams, Q&As, special content with content creators, and stuff like that. Like that, what was it? The new KVK mode they were testing with some content creators. I think stuff like that is fantastic. I think they need to do more of that, and I think stuff like that is great. More personal interaction with the community managers, I think, would also be fun. Live streams, Q&As, stuff like that, I think is great for the game. Now, as well as that, I would like to see more transparency with the patch notes and reasoning behind the changes being made. And they've gotten better at this, I will say, over the years. But I still think, for example, let's say they're changing something or adding something, why are they adding it? I think it would be a good insight for players to see and also sort of know why the game is making certain decisions. Like, why are we getting this, or why are they changing that, right? Like, it would be very interesting to see what goes behind the scenes into the thought process and why they think this is a good change to the game. And I think a lot of players would benefit from that, and I think more transparency equals more better, if you ask me. So yeah. Also addressing the path that Rock will take when making certain changes, like fixed participants in KVK, like they did a while back with the domain system. Like, what's their goal behind this? What do they want kingdoms to look like, let's say 6 to 12 months from now? Do they want us to downsize? Do they want us to become bigger? Like, it would be good for kingdom leadership and kingdoms in the game and players to learn what Rise of Kingdoms and what the developers are trying to make kingdoms look like. Do they want us to be 1 Alliance Kingdoms? Do they want us to be 2 Alliance Kingdoms? Like, does the game want us to do, right? Like, we can only sort of play reactively, and now everyone's had to downsize because of all the changes that's been made. And, well, obviously decreasing player base in top Imperiums compared to what we used to have before. And there's obviously way more kingdoms in the game now, which naturally also means that more players are going to be spread across more kingdoms. So what does the game want kingdoms to look like? I think would be a really interesting thing to see. Anyway. Sorry for yapping. Now, another big thing, I think, and ties into some of the stuff I said earlier, is leadership burnout. Leadership burnout has been a thing in this game for a very, very long time. It's the reason a lot of leadership players quit. It's the reason a lot of leadership tasks don't get done. It's the reason kingdoms generally struggle to get good leadership. Because it is a lot of burnout. It's very taxing to be kingdom leadership. It's the most ungrateful job in the game. And you don't really feel rewarded for it. Now, one thing they could do, which I think is quite easy for them, because Lilith already does track all the stats. Why not make it easier? Why not make it so that the king or R4s or whatever can see all these stats without having to track it themselves? Why do we have to track it? It doesn't make any sense. When the game has this information, why do we have to use third-party services to track our data? I don't think it makes any sense. So I think, yes, we need easier stat tracking, as well as easier territory planning. Like, I should be able to, like, let's say, enter the Heroic Anthem map and be able to test around with flags and, like, on a sandbox sort of thing. And test around with flags, can we jump this wall, can we not jump that wall, like, that sort of thing, right? I think we need to be able to, as Kingdom leadership, I'm saying we now, I used to be, I'm not leadership anymore, to be clear. But I think leadership needs easier ways of tracking stats, easier territory planning, as it's quite a pain right now. And also easier testing ties into this, which you can test easier test which garrisons are good, which rallies are good, etc., right? So yeah, that's my take on what needs to be improved on the game in 2025. Now I'm gonna go over some of the things that they actually have improved before 2025 or even early in 2025, because we got some recent changes that were extremely good for the game. And a few of those things are the commander swap, great addition, probably the best thing they've ever added into the game. Another one which comes as a close second, I think, is the armament swap. Again, fantastic, and good job Lilith, good job Rise of Kingdoms. Now, the Imperium system is something that they've also improved upon in recent times, and over time, to be honest, they've worked on the Imperium system and they've made it quite a lot better now. So if you go to the immigration here, as you can see, you now have special migration points, right? So, I mean, you can read through this if you want to see how it works. But instead of the 3 ticket system that Imperiums used to have, now you have migration points. There's also Silver Imperium below the power threshold, which I think is a great change to Imperium. So well done on honestly making life in Imperium a lot easier. Is there still stuff that could be done? Yes. But have they made it a lot better? Yes. So I think we need to give credit where credit is deserved. They've made the Imperium system a lot better. Now, another thing which got added quite a while ago, to be honest, is the Exile in Home Kingdom, the Banish skill. Before, you could only use Exile in KVK on opponents, and it was really annoying. Like, rogues were one of the most annoying things you could deal with in the game. So now we have the Banish skill. You can send the rogues out of Zone 3 to Zone 1. Problem solved. Well, for the most part anyway. They're still gonna be annoying, but at least you can solve the issue of having them in Zone 3, which I think is great. Another really fantastic thing they added into the game is the presets and the new presets. The armament presets, everything. Now we have a lot of presets. We have... How many can we even make now? I don't even know. We can make a ton of March presets. We can make a ton of equipment presets. We can make a ton of armament presets. And we can also save our equipment and our armaments on our presets. The only thing I would say is maybe also save secondary commander equipment in the presets, because things like the artifacted KVKs doesn't get saved, and you can end up not switching the artifact back to the correct spot, and that can be quite annoying. But apart from that, great job on the preset system. They've made huge improvements. Another thing I want to shortly touch on is the Home Kingdom Barbarians, which they made higher level barbarians as well as barbarian forts up to level 10 and up to level 40 barbarians in Home Kingdom, which I think is great. It is fantastic, and I think we're gonna benefit a lot from that. As well as higher level nodes, right? Level 8 nodes in Home Kingdom, it's great. Easier ways for players to farm speed ups, resources, all that sort of stuff I think is amazing. Higher level barbs, higher level barb ports, higher level resource nodes, amazing. Good job, amazing. And the last thing I want to touch on is the quick command that they added, which made especially, and also all the stuff with the filter mode is also great, but especially the quick command where you can not target allies on accident, and also especially for mobile. PC players already had it quite okay apart from the ally thing, but for mobile users this is amazing. And they've really like transformed the mobile gaming experience on this game. So I think that is great, as I mean at the end of the day it is a mobile game, right? I know a lot of us play on PC now, but it is at the end of the day still a mobile game. Anyway, I think that's all. I really hope that we'll see some of these changes I suggested made in 2025. And I think with those changes implemented, Rise of Kingdoms could really become one of the greatest mobile games of all time. I mean, in my opinion, they already are one of the greatest mobile games of all time. But I think they could probably become the best mobile game of 2025 with the correct changes, as we have a solid community and we have a really good player base here. So yeah, anyway, that's all for this video. Let me know what I missed down below. Let me know what changes you would like to see. Let me know what changes you think have been good. And consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel if you enjoy this type of content, and let me know what you'd like to see next. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.